Award-winning haiku poet Antoinette Cheung is no stranger to the haiku world. Published in all of the major haiku journals, Antoinette's name is one of the first I look for in a journal's index of poets. There is a quiet power to her poetry, as the editors of the anthology A New Resonance 14 say of Antoinette's work. In Cheung's words, there is a willingness to sit with loss and uncertainty, they write, but also a sense of wonder, of possibility. Whether exploring love, loss, or the magic of everyday life, her voice remains open, deliberate, yet light. Themes of identity shift gently. Connection and longing surface in the spaces between words. Come along with me for a walk inspired by one of my favorite haiku by Antoinette. During our sojourn, I'll read her haiku 3 times, inviting your thoughts, reflections, and perhaps a haiku of your own, or the seed of one. Afterwards, we'll check in with Antoinette herself to learn more about the inspiration for her haiku and the writing of it. So, make yourself a cup of tea, open a fresh page in your notebook, uncap a favorite pen, and let's ginko together. As I read Antoinette's haiku, which won a Top Poem Award in the 2023 Vancouver Cherry Blossom Festival, listen for a word or a phrase that leaps up, dazzles brighter than the others, speaks to you. Cherry blossoms. We switch to our mother tongue. As I meditate on this delightful haiku, I'm drawn to the idiom mother tongue. For all its richness, I am reminded of the limitations of English to convey a concept that a single word may perfectly encapsulate in another language. For example, nothing in English conveys that deeply warm feeling of cozy, candlelit hospitality the way the German word Gemütlichkeit does, or how the Portuguese word saudade can, in a single word, evoke a feeling of nostalgia, of longing for a beloved person or past now absent or out of reach. Or the incomparable Japanese word komorebi that paints in one stroke a picture of dappled sunlight filtered through a canopy of leaves or blossoms. Perhaps the subject of this haiku and their companions are so moved by the beauty of the blossoms swaying in the breeze that it is fitting and natural to reach for an essential word in a comforting language that can convey their experience like none other can. Another reading of this haiku might also suggest that the awe-inspiring scene causes the subject to be at a complete loss for words. In this sense, truly switching to the universal mother tongue that spiritual teacher Alan Watts once implied while citing a famous Zen koan. Who were you before your father and mother conceived you? This silence is not merely the absence of language, but the creative womb of generative and infinite possibilities. The experience of being awestruck invites us, as St. Francis believed, to embody and share life's good news, using words sparingly, if at all.
how to pray. I got all the friends that money can buy, so I never have to be alone. And I keep getting richer, but I can't get my picture cover of the Rolling Stone.
Returning to Antoinette's haiku, let's read it again, and this time consider what you as a reader bring with you as you hear her poem. What memories, feelings, sensations reside there for you in the silence cradling her words? Cherry blossoms, we switch to our mother tongue. In the spaces between and surrounding the 8 words of Antoinette's haiku, I connect with my mother and father, German immigrants to Canada, who arrived with next to no money, even less currency in the English language, and, in my mother's case, 0 prior knowledge of her new country, clinging onto her own father's blessing and assurance that Canada will undoubtedly have bread to eat as well. After marrying and building a home in Canada, both of my parents felt it important to impart their heritage language to 4 boys who, perhaps less enthusiastic with the plan, in time settled on a kind of language equilibrium that slowly tipped more and more in favor of English. I do remember how early in childhood my parents would speak to me in German and I'd answer in English, only switching to my mother tongue if I wanted an extra slice of Käsekuchen, or to my father tongue if I desired an increase in allowance, or as a teenager to borrow Dad's Volkswagen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For this third reading of Antoinette's haiku, let's be mindful of any urging of a response we might be feeling, any invitation to write a poem or a fragment of one, a thought, a reflection, a nudge or inclination. What generative possibilities are coming into bloom for you as you reflect on her haiku? Cherry blossoms, we switch to our mother tongue. Hi, Antoinette.
Hi, Peter.
It's so great to have you with me. I took your beautiful cherry blossoms haiku out for a walk around Vancouver. I guess I should add it was the haiku that appears in the anthology A New Resonance 14. I know you have more than one cherry blossom haiku, probably a whole tree of them.
That's a good way to put it.
Maybe before we chat about that haiku, Antoinette, would you be so kind as to read it for us?
Yes, happy to. Cherry blossoms. We switch to our mother tongue.
So nice. What was the inspiration for this haiku? Was there a haiku moment, an aha epiphany? Do you recall where you were when you wrote it?
Yeah, I wish I had a more concrete answer, but to be honest, this one was one of those poems that kind of came to me in different pieces. I
Interesting.
think for one thing, I have a complicated relationship with my mother tongue because I was born in Hong Kong and moved here when I was very little. Didn't really take Chinese school throughout, and so I lost a lot of my mother tongue and only speak it if needed. And that
Okay.
would be with grandparents, but my grandparents have since passed, and so I use it very little now. So it's been one of my insecurities to think about mother tongues and my relationship with mother tongues. But I think the inspiration for this particular poem, when kind of thinking about cherry blossoms, is that possibility and renewal and almost like a forgiveness of sorts. So
Mm.
in a way, it's me being gentle with myself.
Oh.
And so I would say that this poem kind of depicts more of a process for me,
Hmm.
kind of recognizing. Also, I suppose the fading and resurgence of things like language. For me, if it was more of a fading for the language part. but I like to think that there's still hope.
There's still hope. It will bloom again next year, that same tree, and perhaps that
Mhm.
possibility of taking Cantonese lessons is
Yes.
still a possibility. Do you remember how many drafts of this poem you wrote? Was the first draft much different from the final version? And what is your typical process of editing a haiku?
For this one, actually, I didn't have many drafts. It did come almost fully formed. I did try to maybe play with individual words, like if switching was the best verb to use, for example.
Mm.
I'm afraid I don't remember what other words I played with for that one, but I do remember that initially I thought about just focusing on myself and, using I in the poem,
Mm.
like the idea of mother tongues and language. It's so much more of a community thing. And so using the we felt much more meaningful that way.
I think you made a good choice. Yeah. I just picture you under that tree and just being
Mhm.
in awe and choosing some words that would resonate with perhaps your family or whoever was with you. So on my walk, I went to David Lamb Park where the big picnic was for the Vancouver Cherry Blossom Festival, and I saw there your winning poem for last year's competition in the Vancouver category, and it was on display at this year's festival. So you have a history of winning awards at this competition, and so that poem from last year, the winning poem, I'll read it for you, is Cherry Blossoms, the Baby's Epiphany About Fingers. I was honored to be one of the judges for last year's Haiku Invitational, and this particular poem wowed all three of us judges for its beautiful tenderness, the congruence of the delicate petals and the baby's fingers, and for perfectly illustrating the wonder of spring opening us up to limitless possibility. When you look at these poems, these award winning poems side by side, both of them speak to identity and identity formation, language, perhaps the limits of language, or the movement beyond language when struck by nature's awe inspiring revelations. Could you speak to the importance of identity and language in your poetry? And any thoughts on the resonance between these particular cherry blossom haiku?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. That's an amazing question and so thoughtfully put. And I guess, first of all, thank you for taking the time to judge alongside your co-judges.
Oh, my
I know it's a
pleasure.
big effort and, putting a lot of thought into it. I'm just so grateful for the haiku community, including yourself, for responding to my poem. You're absolutely right. I think identity has a lot to do with my writing, and I gravitate towards reflecting on identity just because, I mean, similar to what we talked about in my first poem, my languages have fluctuated over the years, and with English becoming my dominant one. And I think, there's so much out there talking about how bilingualism shifts your brain almost, or like you think
Interesting.
differently, like you have confidence in another language, you maybe, I don't know, dream differently or conceptualize things
Yes.
differently. And so all of those come to mind, especially when, or I guess, writing poetry or doing any kind of art form is such a reflective process. So, like how you
Mm.
think about yourself, how you think about others, and how you think about the world is so tied in with language and identity. Yeah. And I think for this poem about the baby's fingers, it's similar to the first one in that it's also about spending time together,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just, that sense of connection, not
Yes.
just with the natural world, but with other people and taking those simple moments to be present together, which I don't think we have enough of these days. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have enough of, yeah, introducing children to the wonder of nature
mhm.
and the connection between ourselves and nature. And so this poem just gives me a lot of hope. Are there any suggestions or advice that we might learn about the craft of writing from your featured poem or from this other poem and the process of writing it. And or as one of the reigning haiku champions for the Cherry Blossom Festival, do you have any suggestions specifically for writing cherry blossom haiku?
I feel like cherry blossom poems are so hard because there are so many of them. But that doesn't mean it's an impossible task to write a cherry blossom poem. I think that authenticity people would really respond to, like just paying attention and noticing as you walk, as you enjoy the cherry blossoms, what you're finding in yourself is being entertained, that is being saddened, that's being some sort of deep emotion that you're having. Like what's the source of that?
That's a
What's
great
that to do with cherry blossoms?
Yeah, and that's a great point about the sadness. We assume that cherry blossoms are just an absolutely wonderful time of year and people are happy, but it's possible. In fact, I know that personally that cherry blossoms bring back a memory for me that was tragic. And so there's beauty and there's happiness, and I love cherry blossoms, but it can also be a time of grieving for some. And so when you mention sadness, it's important to be truthful, isn't it, with our emotions and what comes up for us.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of recognizing that cyclical nature of life. I think there's a lot of parallels with our own human experience and the experience of these beautiful cherry trees.
Absolutely. And you honor those beautiful cherry trees in your writing, Antoinette. I know, I think you do have a whole tree of cherry blossom poems, and you keep adding to them. And this particular poem is just so lovely and wonderful. And it was a joy meditating on your poem, taking it for a walk, and now hearing from you as to the inspiration for it and the writing of it, and encouraging others to do likewise. So can't thank you enough for joining me, Antoinette, and I hope there's at least one more cherry blossom poem in you.
I hope so. I mean, we're so lucky to be in Vancouver, and the cherry blossoms here are just phenomenal.
Majestic. I pinch myself. It's just so gorgeous. Yeah. Friends, it's been an absolute delight walking with you and with Antoinette's wonderful haiku. If you also enjoyed our ginko together, please do consider liking this video, maybe subscribing to the channel so as you don't miss any future haiku walks. You might even wish to share this episode with a haiku friend or two. As a new channel just coming into bloom, your support is sunshine and rain in these early days. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, I'm your Ginko host, Peter, and I invite you to continue to walk, write, and repeat